And this morning we are highlighting a powerful new exhibition coming to the St. Louis Kaplan-Feldman Holocaust Museum, and it explores the generational impact of the World War II incarceration of Japanese Americans through the work of 8 artists. Joining us now is Myron Friedman, the museum's executive director, and Robin Hattori from the Japanese American Citizens League. Thank you both for being here, getting up early.
Thank you.
Talk about this new exhibit. This is so powerful. Tell us a little bit about it and how it came together.
Well, this is a partnership the museum has with the Japanese American Citizens League to present resilience, a Sensei Sense of Legacy. And as you're pointing out, it's an art exhibit, but it also provides some background on the history leading up to the incarceration of Japanese Americans during World War II.
It is powerful to use the word incarceration too, because I think over the last few years we have stopped saying internment.
Correct.
And use incarceration.
Yes.
Can you talk to us also just about the context of the executive order that launched this incarceration, just for people who might not know history?
Sure. Yeah, well, the Japanese Americans were living on the West Coast, doing farming, selling things. They were settling there. They had families. They could not become American citizens, but many of their children were born here and were American citizens. However, when Pearl Harbor happened on December 7th of 41, there was a lot of suspicion and hysteria, and the Japanese became scapegoats at that time. So Executive Order 9066 came out several months after Pearl Harbor was bombed, and it ordered all the Japanese Americans and Japanese citizens living on the West Coast to report to an assembly center. They had 1 week to sell and get rid of everything, and then they were incarcerated after that for almost 4 years.
Isn't that I think one of the things about our history too is that we really don't learn about it in schools. I mean, I remember just like a one paragraph, that was it. So what you're doing is really incredible, and I think timely.
The artists that are featured in this exhibit are descendants from families that were incarcerated. So they're really channeling that trauma that their families experienced into these incredible works of art. And there's textiles, there's ceramics, there's paintings, there's sculptures. It's a wide array of materials that have a really powerful impact when you come into the gallery.
And Robin, are you showcasing your art? I've bought your art before. Are you?
No.
You're not.
I'm not.
Space, you know,
I'm not at that level.
Okay.
No. But I will say one of my favorite pieces is it's a huge sculpture. There's 3 things hanging from the ceiling, and it's luggage tags with numbers and names. And there were 10,000 people in every camp, so it's 30,000 tags that are hanging from the ceiling of the museum right now, really representing all of the individuals that were impacted by this.
Oh, that is so powerful. And can we talk about what Sensei means?
Sensei is 3rd generation Japanese American. So the Issei were the 1st generation. Those were the immigrants, like my grandparents. The Nisei are their sons and daughters, like my parents. And then I am Sensei. And I think what's powerful about this exhibit is we have been able to sort of reclaim our culture and heritage now in a way that our mothers and fathers and grandparents could not, because it was dangerous to show that you were Japanese and to observe those customs.
And I didn't actually talk to you about this beforehand, but I'm wondering if we want to share some pieces of history that St. Louis had a hand during incarceration. I mean, I think about Wash U specifically.
Yes.
Yeah. You want to share any?
Wash U was one of the few universities in America who said these students that were supposed to be incarcerated are American citizens and deserve to come study. So they housed around a dozen or so Japanese American students who came and studied while their families were behind barbed wire in the camps.
Oh my gosh, isn't that wild? It's just incredible.
One of the furthest incarceration camps was in Arkansas, and many of the Japanese families there ended up relocating to St. Louis after they were released.
Yeah. Oh. So what do you hope people gain in terms of perspective? Being, first of all, at the museum itself is very powerful. And then to see this exhibition will be, also compelling and wonderful. But what do you hope people walk away with knowing?
Well, it really has a couple of impacts. One is just the fact that it's an amazing art exhibition. but also that the museum is really dedicated to looking at the history of dehumanization in the 1940s and how that led to the Holocaust. Well, here's another story in our own country of civil rights being denied and a whole race of people being dehumanized, leading to these terrible circumstances, impoverishment, loss of the lives they had established and having to rebuild them afterwards. It's really a tragic story. And it's here through April 4th. So it opens on Saturday. It's here through April 4th. And when you come up to the museum, you can see the exhibit for free. But then at the same time, there's a lot to explore in the museum looking at the Holocaust.
And we feel like it's been such a great partnership for us because it's not really about making comparisons in history, but making connections and understanding that we are allies. Some of the things that our respective constituents have gone through have a lot of things in common. We feel a great sense of empathy.
Yeah, yeah. And I do just, want to reiterate that it does feel timely with what is going on in our country and our world, right?
Very much so.
We have some additional programs coming up as well that are tied to this theme. If you go to stlholocaustmuseum.org, you can learn about what we have coming up in the next couple of months.
Okay. And then can we talk about the opening reception? What is that?
That was last night. It was fabulous.
Yeah.
We're a little bit tired.
Oh gosh, of course. Of course.
It was wonderful to see so many people in the room who maybe had heard of this history but not in depth, and then to see their reactions to experiencing it in person. And I got to credit Myron's staff. They are incredible. They did such a good job welcoming a diverse audience in, and it was fantastic.
It is so wonderful that we have the solidarity and connection, and I loved what both of you had to say about not comparing, but really connecting. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Okay, so again, you can go. We can go today then, right?
Yes.
As early as today?
Saturday.
Oh, Saturday. Sorry. I heard you. I didn't process. Okay, so Saturday, and it runs through.
And I might add, if you don't mind, that we have special Japanese cultural exhibitions going on. In addition to the exhibition, there'll be demonstrations in calligraphy, in
Tea ceremony,
ikebana.
Oh,
So that's tomorrow and Sunday, these special cultural presentations.
and ikebana is flowers.
Flower
right?
arranging,
Yes.
right.
Oh,
And again, I think it's, we haven't had that chance to connect with our culture. And this is a reclaiming. It's a way to say, these are all the things that our parents and our grandparents couldn't do because they were trying to show that they were loyal Americans. So I love that we are able to combine that and bring that to the St. Louis Holocaust Museum.
Well, thank you so much, not only for all you're doing in the community, but for taking the time out to share your message and also just to invite people to the exhibition. And it's free, which is so wonderful. So there's no excuse not to stop by.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.